Hey everyone, I just wanted to create a little video to introduce you to StatCrunch and some of the things you'll be able to do in Chapter 2 with StatCrunch. So here is the main page of my lab, and you can see that there is a StatCrunch link on the side. But real quick, if you're working in homework, let's say you're in section 2.4, you're doing some 2.4 homework, and question 8 is a pretty good example. And it wants you to find some things, and it gives you a data set. Anytime you see this little icon right here, if you click on it, that will allow you to drop that data set into a StatCrunch spreadsheet. So if I just click open in StatCrunch, it'll put it into our StatCrunch spreadsheet, and then you can do whatever needs to be done. If that doesn't work for you, I would suggest clearing out your data, cookies, that kind of thing in your computer so your computer is not blocking it, but that should work. If you have a MyLab account, you have a StatCrunch account automatically. It's the same username and password, and it's embedded right into MyLab, okay? So that's one way that you'll be able to get data into StatCrunch, just by clicking those icons when they're available. The other way, if you are just on this main page in MyLab, just click StatCrunch and then click StatCrunch website. And there's the main page for StatCrunch. If you want a blank StatCrunch page, just click that open StatCrunch, and you're in, and then you can type in values on your own, okay? And then do whatever needs to be done. Okay. The other thing I want to show you is I do have a group page. And so any data set that I use in my notes, I also put in your groups folder. And so in order to access those, you'll have to join my group. So here are some instructions on how to join my group. You click on groups. Yeah, what's that? Okay, and then in the search window, just type in stat 300 online. You could even type in the whole thing. It's summer 2020 Andrew Halseth. Oops. Okay, and then search for that. And this should come up, Stat 300 Online, Summer 2020, Andrew Halseth. That group is specifically for this summer class. If I click on it, I'll have access to my data sets. Now, I'm already a member, so I didn't get prompted to join, but you'll probably have another screen that says, would you like to join this group? You join it, and then you're in, okay? Once you've joined the group, anytime now you go to, let's go back to the main home. Oops, sorry. Okay, now anytime you're back in this home page, now if you click on my groups, your group will come up. You click on that, you'll have access to my data sets that I've created in the notes. Okay, so back up, let's close it all out. If you're back on your home screen here, to access StatCrunch, you're gonna click on StatCrunch website, and then there's your main screen. You can open a blank one by clicking that, or you can access my data sets now by clicking on my groups once you have joined it. Okay, so for a while here now, to show you some things, I'm gonna go to my groups because I've got some data sets here. Here are 4 data sets that are from your Chapter 2 notes. They're the same numbers we used as we went through those videos doing things by hand. So let's play around with the notes from exam scores from section 2.1. Okay, so there they are loaded into StatCrunch. What are some things I can do? So first thing, remember, it would have been useful had we been able to order things, right? So if you just run your cursor over var1, you'll see a little down arrow, and then click on that down arrow, and you can sort the table in ascending order. that's helpful. All right, so now the values have been sorted. Okay, so there's one nice little thing you can do. The default heading is var1. If you just click on it, you can change the heading, right? If you want to type exam scores, right, that might look a little better. Okay, so you can do that. Another thing I'll show you in that 2.1 section, histograms, or 2.2, 2.1, 2.2, yeah, histograms were a big deal. So I can always get a graph with my StatCrunch. Now, if I run my cursor over graph, there's lots of different graphs. Feel free to play around with these, but I'll show you a few that we have done. Right, there's histogram. That was probably the main one we did. I click on histogram. I'm going to select the column. Right, so I just click on that. And then I can just ignore all this for a moment. And let's just hit compute. What does the StatCrunch come up with? Okay, it created a histogram. Now it's going to default into a number of classes. Like here, it looks like it did 10 classes. We can adjust that however we want, right? So if I redo this, let's close that out. Let's go do it again. So graphs, histogram, exam scores. Now I can actually do some things like, what if we want to just start at 50? Because I remember my minimum was 50. So let's start at 50. And my width is the class width. The class width was 10. So this will match our histogram that we did by hand. Okay, there's the one that we did by hand in section 2.1. Okay, where I put in the minimum and the class width, and then it will match it. Okay. If I click on options, I can edit. That will go right back to that screen, and I can edit. Like I can put a marker in. Let's put on markers where the mean and the median are for this one and compute it. Right now it's going to show me where the mean and the median are in this data set. Okay, so I mean, there's a little bit on histograms. If you want another type of graph, pie chart with this data, I just click on it. What's it going to do? Whoa, lots of unique numeric values. Want to turn on binning? Yeah, so go ahead. And there, it made a little pie chart with our data values. The color and everything, it's pretty awesome. What other graphs have we done? We did a stem and leaf, right? Let's try a stem and leaf and compute that. There's that stem and leaf. It did it a little bit differently. It did 2 groups for 5s, 2 6s, 2 7s, but same idea. Okay. Feel free to play around with that, graphs, all right? We'll do more as we go. Okay. Let's go get another, let's close this out. Let's go grab another data set, resting heart rates from 2.3. What we did with that group is we were finding like mean, median, mode. I can go to stat. If I want to find summary stats, mean, medians, modes, that kind of thing, I can just click on or put my cursor over summary stat of a column. Click on resting heart rates. Always got to select a column. And then here are the default ones: mean, variance, standard deviation, etc. All of that. And then there's even more that are not highlighted, right? There's some default and there's some extras. Okay, but if I just click compute, let's see what it gives me. It gives me the n, the mean, the variance, standard deviation, median, range, and then there's some quartile work, right? All of that, okay. One thing to note about the standard deviation and the variance. By default, these are sample variance and sample standard deviation, okay? Your StatCrunch then is assuming that this is sample data. All right. What if the question asked, though, for population variance or population standard deviation? Then if I go options, edit, oops, no, I don't want to save. Options, edit. Population is these. It calls it unadjusted variance, unadjusted standard deviation. those are population. So notice down there it does say select more than one with shift click, right? Or command click. Right? So I'm just holding down shift and I can do as many as I want, okay? Or holding down command, right? And it highlights them all, okay? So if I want to highlight more, I'm just, on my computer, I hold down command, it works pretty well, all right? Okay, so shifting, I get those, compute it, just got those. Those are population, variance and standard deviation, okay? Finally, let's maybe go to one more data set about that last one. This was from 2.5 hours of watching TV. We did a box plot with that one, and we found that 5-number summary. So to get the 5-number summary, that's going to be under summary stats. So I click on stat, summary stats, highlight the column. And then if I'm just after the summary stats, it's already default. It's the range, min, max, Q1, Q3, median, right? So I can just compute it. And then there's my summary stats over here. So minimum, Q1, median is Q2, Q3, and then the max. That's my 5-number summary. If I also want a box plot, a box and whisker plot, they just call it box plot in StatCrunch. Just highlight it, hit compute, and there's your box and whisker plot. Okay, they do it vertically, which you can do those vertically or horizontally. I think there is an option if you prefer it. It says option edit. If you prefer it horizontal, you can draw boxes horizontally. There, that looks exactly like the one we did by hand. Okay, so that's a StatCrunch box and whisker plot. Okay, and then one other thing before we end here, your StatCrunch box and whisker plot feature can identify outliers. Okay, so we did those by hand with formulas, but let's throw in an outlier here. So let's just do one more value. Let's put in 24. You watch TV 24 hours a day, okay? That's probably an outlier. Let's see now if we do the box plot. So graph, box plot, hours of TV. And I just want to make sure this is marked. Use fences to identify outliers. Okay, so that way it will identify outliers if there are any graphically, right? And I like it horizontally, so I'm going to do it that way. Okay, and there we go, right? So notice how it identifies outliers. It just puts them as dots. It doesn't include them in the whisker. It does a separate dot, and I can put my cursor over it, and it does identify what that value is. It's hours of TV, 24, okay? Okay, that's probably enough for now. That'll get you going with StatCrunch. You know, check out this, once you check out this video, try the homework and see if you can get those problems done with StatCrunch only. And then shoot questions my way if you have any. By the way, I do have a StatCrunch handout, an entire guide. If you go to modules, notes, you'll see a StatCrunch guide. So all of these things I've just gone through, they're step-by-step guides for each of them, okay, arranged by sections in the textbook. So check that out too. All right, hope all's well. Talk to you later.